Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first ever Facebook Live event promoting our 19th annual gun buyback called Goods for Guns of Greater Worcester. I'm Dr. Michael Hirsch. I'm the co-founder of this event. We've been doing it for a long time with the collaboration of two of the wonderful partners that you'll meet coming up, the Worcester Police Department and the District Attorney's Office of Worcester County have been major helpers in promoting this and financing it every year. So what is the Gun Buyback program? It's a program that encourages people to make a risk assessment in their homes. If they are gun owners, there are certain things that happen over the course of a year that may make owning the gun more risky than having the gun in the home. If you have an inquisitive toddler that's come into your life, either as a grandkid or a child, if you have a depressed teenager who's been having a rough time in this crazy 2020 year of the pandemic, if you have a spouse and you've been having anger management problems with that spouse, if you have a family member in your household that has a drug problem, trading firearms for drugs is a very common thing that we see in the trafficking of these weapons. And basically, all of those things elevate the risk of this firearm that you own doing something terrible, either hurting someone in your family, hurting yourself, or getting out onto the street where it can be sold on the black market and end up in the hands of a criminal. So if you make that assessment that, boy, my gun is risky, I don't want to take that risk anymore, this program gives you the opportunity to bring it in to the assigned stations that are picking it up, and we have 3 this year. One here in Worcester Police Headquarters, one in Charlton, and one in Southbridge. And you, no questions asked, turn your weapon in. It's evaluated by police officers who are specialists in weaponry. They will tell us whether it's active and operable. If it is, you will get an assigned reimbursement of $25 for a long rifle, $50 for a pistol, or if the rifle or pistol are semi-automatic, you'll get $75. You also have the opportunity while you're here, if you have other weapons at home or have loved ones that have weapons that haven't come in, if you want to help them or help your house stay more secure, we're giving away trigger locks. All of this is done anonymously. All of this is done in an effort to try to keep the streets of our central Massachusetts area safer. Over the 19 years, we've collected thus far about 3,800 weapons. We've had a very good track record in the city and in our surroundings of having a much lower firearm injury rate than other parts of the Commonwealth. Many other cities have duplicated our efforts, so we have partners that are doing similar work in Providence and Hartford and New Haven, in Boston, in Springfield. So we really feel that this is just a very simple way of us making the city and the Commonwealth safer. This is not a program that is about Second Amendment issues. It's not a program that is about confiscating weapons. It's all voluntary. And let's face it, even in the shade of the pandemic this year, we're expecting 40,000 people to die by firearm violence during the year. 2/3 of those are suicides with firearms. And we know from all of the hospital data that most people who attempt suicide and don't succeed in completing that suicide tell us in retrospect they only thought about it very impulsively, just for a few minutes before they did the act, and they really didn't want to do it. It was more of a cry for help. It was a dark time, but now they're glad that they didn't pull it off. With a firearm, your success rate of doing suicide is 93%. So you don't get a second chance with a firearm. So for all those reasons, I would urge you to take advantage of our Gun Buyback Day, which is Saturday, December 12th. Here in Worcester, it's going to be from 9 to 3. And it'll be a drive-through situation because we're trying to be very compliant with the concerns about the pandemic. So we're not going to be like indoors. We're going to be outdoors. We're going to be coming right to your car. We'll assess the value of your weapon. From there, we'll get you your reimbursement gift cards, which will be gift cards to local shopping sites like Price Choppers or Wegmans or Stop and Shop. And then we'll get you on your way. If you want a trigger lock, we'll do that too. There will be a voluntary survey that we do just about how you heard about us. We're very interested to see if Facebook was a good way of us promoting this event today. So we're very grateful that you're here listening about it. And I will say as the last thing that as we move forward with this program, we're finding more and more interest, I think, at least in the medical school level where I teach, to try to have a conversation with patients about whether it's safe to have a gun in the home. And here in Worcester, if the patient says, you know, you're right, I don't really feel like it's a good idea for me to have this weapon in the home, we're giving people the option and the opportunity to bring that weapon in and make the city safer. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity of meeting all of you today. You can get more information about us from our Facebook page and from our website, www.injuryfree.org. And we will also probably share some information with the DA's webpage and the Worcester Police webpage. So there'll be lots of ways for you to find out about us. So please come down on December 12th. That's the approximate 8th anniversary of the Sandy Hook tragedy, and we think it's very appropriate to remember those 26 people that were killed in that event by honoring them this way. So I'm going to turn it over to my dear colleague, Deputy Chief Ed McGinn, who has been a stalwart supporter of this through the Worcester Police Department. The whole police department has done an amazing job supporting us from the very inception of this. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Deputy Chief Ed McGinn from the Worcester Police Department. I'm here today on behalf of Chief Steve Sargent, and we're very honored to participate in this collaboration for our 19th year with the UMass Medical, with the City of Worcester Division of Public Health, and with District Attorney Joe Early's office. That's a very unique partnership. We're all after the same thing, to keep the streets within Worcester and surrounding areas safe. And unfortunately, in any big city or medium-sized city, as the case may be here in Worcester, we have problems with gun violence. Now, obviously, Worcester is in a little bit of a better shape than most cities our size throughout the United States. But the point is, any one shooting or one gun death is one too many. And through efforts like these that we've embarked upon for 19 years now to remove over slightly less than 4,000 guns from the streets of Worcester. The money that's been spent to do that is dwarfed in comparison to what it costs to treat someone for a gun-related injury at any hospital, whether it be UMass or any place else in the country. So this is a very, very wise investment insofar as the bang for the buck. No pun intended. In Worcester, we've had 8 murders to date in 2020. 6 of them were with firearms. We've had 23 shootings from that 26 victims. Of those 26 victims, thankfully, they didn't die, but 23 shootings is 23 shootings too many. And it's because of easy access to guns. Now, people can come into guns in a lot of different ways. As the doctor mentioned, it's through the drug trade, and it's a very coveted thing insofar as the gang activity that may take place in the city. But a lot of times, these guns that are not being properly attended to are stolen from homes, are guns that are unsecured, are taken by family members in the midst of some type of psychiatric crisis or some type of chemical dependency. These things happen. These things happen. It's a tremendous burden to have a gun and to safely hold it anywhere these days, insofar as life insurance and locking it up. And many people, although they could do it at one time, may not be up to it anymore. And this is a unique and very poignant opportunity for people who have guns in their homes for whatever reason, however the gun came into their home, to rid their home of it, and at the same time get a little financial incentive back for doing that. Now, we understand people with grandpa who passed away many years ago may have left several guns in the home. People are not into hunting or are not gun folks. They want to get rid of it, but they just don't know how. This is a very, very good opportunity for you to do that. There could be people who've been in the crime life in years past, turned themselves around and gone the other direction, yet still have a gun. They don't need that anymore. They can turn that in. And through the graces of District Attorney Joe Early's office, this is completely anonymous. Its amnesty is assured, not only by the DA's office, but by the police department. And I'll get into the logistics in the middle how we do this, but fear not. There's nobody going to be asking your name. We're not insisting that you give us a gun. This is all voluntary. And we just want to help families get these guns out of their homes if it's a problem for them and they're not up for properly securing them any longer. A little bit how this works on the Saturday the 12th between 9 and 3 at Worcester Police Headquarters, and there are 2 other sites in Charlton and then also in Southbridge, and the details for those will be listed on the website. But you'll be able to drive up to the front of the police station. One of our officers will greet you there. I assure you we'll be observing social distancing measures. We're doing this in drive-up form. And then we'll have discussion as to what guns you'd like to turn in. And at that point, after we determine what guns there are, we don't take the numbers down or anything along those lines. We'll have someone from from the coalition to go out and discuss with you the gift certificates that they'll be providing to you. So it's touch-free, it's easy, it's quick. For those of you who have no gun to turn in, and then you're in need of a gun lock, feel free to just pull by and we'll help you out with that. Again, thank you in advance to our partners for this. This is huge. This has really made Worcester a safer community, and it's efforts like these that makes Worcester one of the safest cities in the Northeast. And again, I thank DA Joe Early, Dr. Hirsch, UMass, and Division of Public Health for partnering with us on this once again. Thank you.
Hi. I am Joe Early, the Worcester County District Attorney, and I want to thank our partners in the 19th Annual Gun for Goods Buyback Program, Dr. Michael Hirsch over at UMass, who does so much for our county in so many different ways. I know I'm embarrassing, but he really is one of our heroes. I want to thank Deputy Chief McGinn and Chief Sergeant for working with us in this Guns for Goods Buyback program. I know our office is a big proponent of prevention. And what this does in such a great way is prevent needless tragedies, as the speakers before me have said, whether it be a suicide by an unwanted gun in the home, or perhaps a gun that was taken on a breaking and entering and is used for a crime out in the street. This helps us reduce gun violence and helps us reduce some of the tragedy that goes along with these suicides and accidents. We've had 16 suicides by gun in Worcester County this year. As Dr. Hirsch said, many of these could have been avoided because it was an impulse decision if we had been able to get the gun out of the house. 2 of these were murder-suicides, oftentimes in a domestic situation. What we also do is we try and prevent accident injuries to children, to young people, because we know that gun violence is the second leading cause of death amongst adolescents in our country. If in a prior life, I practiced mental health law for 17 years, and I understood the effects of anxiety and depression. But I didn't practice mental health law during a pandemic. And what we know now that is the depression, the anxiety. These things are just exacerbated by going through things, a dark side of things that we've never had to come into contact with before in our lives. And I know during these uncertain times, our communities have been stepping up. We've stepped up in the past, and thousands of guns have been taken off the street to make our county safer. What is really relatively a small cost to boot. I mean, I have a check here this year for $5,000 for guns. And the interesting thing is when we partner with the Worcester PD, when we partner with the local chiefs, the state police, this is the money that we've gotten from drug dealers. So this is about prevention and putting it back into the community, getting these unwanted guns off the street. And it's a great example of how when you work together, how much of a force multiplier it is when everyone comes together and no one cares who gets the credit. So I want to thank Dr. Hirsch and the staff at UMass Memorial, as well as the police chiefs, for their dedicated commitment. I want to thank Dr. Hirsch, Deputy Chief McGinn, for being so vocal on this, that they've actually brought other district attorneys into the fold throughout Massachusetts. Dr. Hirsch came down and made a very impassioned plea with regards to this. And you had a lot of other DAs looking at each other and saying, why aren't we doing this? What's the fuss about this? You know, because you'll hear people say, oh, well, that's not going to stop gang activity. No, we've got other programs for that. But this may stop the gun from getting into the hands of a gang member who may use it later, like I said, after a B&E. And also, it also takes the risk that that gun could be used against a police officer who make quick decisions each and every day, and oftentimes come under fire when they shouldn't be coming under fire, because they're out there protecting the rights and liberties we deserve, we enjoy, and helping us. And especially when they walk into some of these houses that have unwanted guns in domestic situations. I can't thank them enough for that. And I can't thank the people who've gotten behind this, the people who have come in enough to exchange these guns. We've had everything from grandmothers saying, you know, my husband just died and I don't know what to do with the gun, to actually girlfriends of people who were involved in gang activity saying, I wanted this out of the house. And it reminds me of a story when my grandfather died. He worked for a postal delivery service, and he had a gun. And one day my younger brother said to me, come on up to Mom and Dad's room, I gotta show you, son. There was the gun. And there was also ammunition there, and I think back and I think about how they didn't know how to get rid of it. They ended up giving it to my uncle on the Worcester Police Department, Fran Early, and he got rid of the gun. But how my brothers and sisters were playing with the gun in a situation that could have gone extremely bad, and it could have gone extremely bad very quickly. I remember it was like a small .22 and there's a box of ammunition. And here they are pulling the trigger. So it does hit home, and it does hit home for everyone. Again, I want to thank Dr. Hirsch. I want to thank Chief McGinn. I want to thank the Worcester Police Department and all the police departments who have come together for this. And the other DAs who are a little bit late to the party. They're not as quick to think as Worcester County, but they're here as well, and we're here to make a difference. So thank you so much for that. Dr. Hirsch, I got a check for $5,000. I should mask back up. Chief McGinn, if you could come over as well. This money's taking a circuitous route. It's the officers of the Worcester Police Department, the men and women who grabbed the money, and it's coming back to us and going back to everyone for these guns. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, DA.
Thank you very much, Joe.
No,
That's
thank
really-
you, guys. It's a team effort. There's no I in team.
So we wish you all the best for a holiday season. Make it safer by bringing your unwanted weapons in the way we described. Put it in a brown paper bag or plastic bag, leave it on the front seat of your car. If you do get stopped on the way, Early
Amnesty.
will give you amnesty. You can say, I'm on my way to the gun buyback, and then we'll take care of you when you get in, and we'll get you your reimbursement, we'll get you your trigger locks if you want them, and we'll all feel better about how you made the city safer.
and it has been touched upon, but we're not looking to infringe on anyone's Second Amendment rights. We're only looking to get the unwanted gun out of the house into a place of safekeeping, and it's all done anonymously, and you have complete amnesty to bring the gun down here.
No gun license needed, no special permits to transport it. Just put it safely in your car,
Unloaded.
unloaded, please. And if you have an issue as to whether you don't know whether it's loaded, just hit 911, have one of our officers stop by. They'll make sure the gun's clean for you and get the thing unloaded so you can turn it in. But please be safe. Wonderful holiday season, but please join us on Saturday the 12th. We'd love to have as many of you join us. And if for nothing else, come by and get a gun lock.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you.